Having a look at the actual color families that we have, the first color family that we experience in our color book is our naturals. Our naturals are our point zeros, and they range from a level 2 right up to a level 10. Our naturals are a blue to violet reflect in the background, and what this enables us to do is control any underlying pigment during the lifting process and counteracting any of that underlying warmth, giving us the ability to recreate supernatural looking results. The blue to violet doesn't leave us as a flat, muted result, but mimics what natural hair looks like. We have the cool naturals, the 0.19s, and the 0.19s are designed for incredible tonal control. Remember, 1 being blue, 9 being green. The cool naturals are phenomenal when lifting from darker levels up and trying to control as much warmth as possible, replicating natural looking hair from a darker level. They are also incredible when used for color correction. The next range that we have a look at is CØR.color. Q stands for quick, and it is the perfect range for your male clientele that walk in with salt and pepper and want to walk out with more pepper than salt. It has its own dedicated activator, a 15 vol or a 4.5%, and being a liquid consistency is super quick and easy to apply at the basin. And as the name Q, quick color suggests, this is typically a color service that you will do at the basin area and gives your male clientele an opportunity to color their hair without it looking colored. So more of that natural kind of blend. Now remember, we spoke about the naturals being the perfect option for gray coverage, being blue to violet in their background, giving us more cool or neutral results. The warm natural range is something that we've just introduced. The WNs are the perfect gray coverage option for clients that are looking for a more warm result, or for clients that are looking for a fashion target result and have gray coverage. The warm naturals will give us the ability to cover gray and maintain the warmth in the reflect as desired. The next family we have a look at is our ash family. Our ash family is represented by the 0.1, 1 being blue, and this is the perfect alternative for counteracting any warmth in the hair, especially where there is residual orange or an orange underlying pigment that we're dealing with. The next family we have a look at is our intense ash family. The intense ash family is represented by a 1.1, so a double dose of blue, and this is just stronger in terms of tonal control to counteract any of those really strong orange underlying pigments, and perfect to use on color corrective scenarios where we're eating through old color. We then have a look at our cool beige family. The cool beige is represented by a 1 and a 3. So primary reflect is blue, secondary reflect is gold. The cool beiges offer us that opportunity to give a really lived in cool beige feel to the hair. The beige family for us is represented by 0.03, natural with a hint of gold in the background. Salons are starting to embrace the world of warmth, and these are the perfect opportunity to use when trying to recreate that soft lived-in beige tone that has a hint of warmth in it without looking super gold. The next family we have a look at is our gold family, the 0.3. These are really rich browns. They have the gold reflect in the background, but are not brassy and not super warm either, just really beautiful warm brown tones. We then enter the world of coppers. The first family we have a look at are our golden coppers, represented by the 0.34, so primary gold, secondary copper. The next family is our true coppers, our 0.4s. These represent the world of copper, being beautiful, rich orange, without being a yellow orange or a red orange. They're a true 0.4, a true copper. If you're looking for something a little brighter, we go to the copper gold family, our 0.43. The thing for us to remember is when we have a look at the reflects, the 0.43, with 4 being in the primary position, that is 70% of our reflect, with 0.3 being in the secondary position, that is 30% of our reflect. So in a copper gold where it is a 0.43, predominantly it is copper, secondary it is gold. So it gives us a really bright copper. From here we move into the reds. The first family we have are our red intense family. Here you will see that every red intense shade is depicted by a double number in the front. The 4, 5, 6, and 7 give us the ability to recognize this range as our intense range. We then also have standalone reds on a 6 and a 9 level, where they are beautiful true red tones, and the 9 level red is phenomenal for creating those beautiful strawberry blondes or alternatively for color correction in summertime when our blondes tend to go a little murky. From here we move into the violets, and the violets are represented by a 0.6. We have violets on an intense level from a level 3 and 4 right up to a 10 level violet, which is perfect for counteracting pale yellow when lifting natural hair. Sometimes we need things that are a little bit stronger, so we introduce our ash violet family. The ash violet again is primary ash, secondary violet, represented by a 0.16. Perfect for counteracting and giving us those icy cool tones, especially when it comes to the world of counteracting warmth and giving us the ability to get a really cool Nordic blonde without overtoning. We then move into the world of our pearls. Our pearls are represented by the 0.8. They range from a level 5 right up to a level 10. The darker you go, the more kind of cool coffee tones you'll get. The lighter you go, the more pearlescent they become. Perfect opportunity to give us that multifaceted blonde when toning to create illusions that that color is changing and moving, exactly like the reflections on a pearl would look like. From here, we jump into the world of brunettes, and this is the 0.7. And remember, I said the 0.7 is a combination of our 3 primary colors, being red, blue, and yellow. What this enables us to do is give us those really rich chocolatey tones that have an incredible amount of soft warmth in the background, but just give us the ability to create super rich results. We've taken the brunettes and added a little bit of extra gold in them to create the golden brunettes. These are perfect for your honey or your caramel kind of tones. And then what we've done with the 0.7 is added a little bit of red in the background to create our chocolate brunettes. The chocolate brunettes for us are those ones that create those very soft mahogany type tones. We then have a beautiful range that we launched a while back known as the nudes. The nudes for us are an incredible combination of cool and warm tones. If we have a look at clients that are out there, every single client is unique in the fact that their skin tone differs. What the nudes enable us to do by combining cool and warm tones together, they give us that ability to create the most amazing soft nude tones that are suitable for any client out there, irrespective of what their skin tone is like. High lifters, often we get asked, do we have high lifters, seeing that we're a really clean color? Yes, we do. The client that is specifically going to be utilizing a high lifter is typically used to getting 5 or 6 levels of lift. Because we're a clean color range, where we don't have any of the harsh ingredients in it, our super blondes, being our high lifters, only give us the ability to give you 4 levels of lift. So ideally suitable to be used on a base level of a 6 and lighter. But the great thing for us is, because we're a hybrid color, the super blondes can be mixed with our 1%, which is our tone activator, and used as a additional set of toners. The pure colors are our additives. These can be added into any color to be used as a booster or a tonal control. You'll notice we have a 0.33 being yellow, a 0.43 for your coppers, a 0.55 for your reds. Those will boost the intensity of any of your warm fashion shades. And then you have a 0.66 being violet, a 0.11 being blue, and a 0.19 being a green. Perfect for adding extra tonal control, especially when trying to get those really cool lift-in tones, or when utilizing a high lift to add in to give you additional tonal control. The trick with the pure colors is to utilize those in a 1:10 mixing ratio. And what I mean by 1:10 mixing ratio, if you are using 10 grams of traditional color, you would mix that with the appropriate amount of activator, either 1 to 1.5 if it's permanent color, or 1 to 2 if it is semi or demi-permanent color. And then on top of that, you'll add in 10%. So if you were using 10 grams of color, you'll add in 1 gram of your pure color. Mix that together and watch the difference it does in terms of increasing the tonal result for you. Last but certainly not least in our range is the pastels. The pastels are beautiful in terms of creating soft fashion tones, but you'll notice that these do not have numbers in front of them. The fact that they don't have numbers in front of them means for us that they don't contain background or base color. What you'll find is they are used on pre-lightened levels 9 or 10 and create soft, beautiful tones. You have a platinum that is a really soft violet to counteract any gold, leaving us with a super bright blonde. You have ice that has a hint of blue in it. You have silver and charcoal that are a little dirtier. They give you that smoky kind of feel, mimicking your silver and your charcoal results. You have a sand. Sand is a golden ash, and what that does for us is gives us a really soft, cool beige tone. We have apricot, which is beautiful for your sort of lighter copper, peachy kind of tones. You have two pink options. You have a pale pink and you have a dusty pink. The dusty pink is a little bit more of a violety pink, where your pale pink is a true soft pastelized pink. Your last one you have in the range is your lilac. Now the lilac is really soft in terms of those lavender tones, and my recommendation and a hot tip on the pastels, if you're looking to utilize either a pink, a lilac, or your silver or charcoal, make sure you pre-tone the hair first. When you pre-tone, you're going to use your platinum to counteract any warmth, so you have a clean base to work off of. The pastels can be mixed with either a 1, a 1.5, or a 3% activator, and will always be mixed in a 1:2 mixing ratio and can be processed for up to 30 minutes. In the world of activators, for us it is super important when we look at the world of activators to identify which activator is used for which purpose. We have 6 activators to choose from at O&M, the first one being a 1% or a 3.5 volume. This is used as our tone activator. The tone activator is used when toning a guest or a client's hair or doing a refresh service. The key thing for me is when it comes to utilizing your activators, especially in the world of toning, if you do not want to break the base or naturally lift any virgin hair that your client has, always use your 1%. Where we have the 1.5% or a 5 volume, this is brilliant to use where we are refreshing color that is existing on your client's hair and can be used to create a demi-permanent color result. The 3% activator is known as the deposit activator. This is always used when going level on level, one level lighter, or looking to make color darker but create permanent color. It'll give you up to 1 level of lift and is always mixed in a 1 to 1.5 mixing ratio. 6% or 20 volume, this is our coverage activator and is used to give you up to 2 levels of lift, or typically when you're using gray coverage results. The 9% or 30 vol will give you up to 3 levels of lift and is typically used with our base and fashion shades where we're looking for that little bit of extra lift. The 12% or the high lift lotion, this is used when we're looking for maximum lift and is typically used when using our super blondes or our high lift range. Included in the portfolio is an incredible color called clear. Clear is basically a colorless color that can be used to create a myriad of options and give you, the colorist, the ability to create whatever tone it is you're looking for. Technically, when we use clear, we will dilute that color down. So for example, if you wanted to create a beautiful new shade of a 9.43, you could take 8.43 and add in equal parts of clear to recreate and make that beautiful new shade of a 9.43. So always remember the number of parts of clear added to the color, that is the number of levels of dilution you will get. So if you wanted to take a level 8 to a level 10, you need 2 levels of dilution. You're going to do 2 parts clear, and so on. Clear also stops oversaturation of color pigment in the hair. So beautiful when glossing, and we don't want to deposit too much pigment in there. We can pastelize that pigment out by adding some clear in there. It pastelizes any given shade up to a lighter, more light reflective option. It can be used beautifully as a base breaker to shift the natural hair color up to create a brighter overall feel, and it can also be used to create the most incredible sun-kissed feel. So you could take clear and 10 volume and utilize that on virgin hair, and what that'll do is give us up to 1 level of lift. When mixing clear with 20 vol on virgin hair, you'll get up to 2 levels of lift, and with 30 vol, you'll get up to 3 levels of lift. The other great opportunity for clear is to utilize it as a colorless color. What that for us means is if your client just wants a gloss treatment or a shine on their hair, you could utilize clear with a 1% to create that beautiful glossy shine. The only thing we recommend not to use clear for is gray coverage. If you are diluting a base up to a different level, you will dilute the background tone out, and what that'll do is it's going to dilute your coverage, which means you're not going to get the coverage you were looking for. When utilizing clear, always ensure that whatever you're mixing it with, that timing applies. If utilizing it on its own, what you're going to find is always process for up to 45 minutes, and always remember, on virgin hair, mixed with 10 volt will give you 1 level of lift, with 20 volt it'll give you 2, and with 30 volt it'll give you up to 3 levels of lift. When it comes to timing with O&M, CØR.color, it is all dependent on what activator you use. So what we've done to make life super easy is we've introduced the +15 rule. What the +15 rule for us means is whatever volume you choose to use, +15 will give you your number of minutes for processing. What I mean by that is if you use your 10 volume, 10 plus 15 is 25. So a 10 volt will process for 25 minutes. 30 volt, 30 plus 15 will be 45 minutes, and 40 volt will be 55 minutes. The trick comes in when using 20 volume. 20 volume as a traditional color where we are not trying to cover gray, you would traditionally use your 20 volt, 20 plus 15 for 35 minutes. However, when using 20 volume for gray coverage, here we ensure that if you're looking for maximum coverage, always process your gray coverage options for a full 45 minutes. When it comes to the world of gray coverage, the most important thing for us to achieve the desired result is to ascertain how much gray coverage there is in your client's hair. When covering gray coverage, what you're going to notice is it's super important for us to make sure that your formulation is correct. You want to ensure that you have the correct amount of base in your formulation depending on how much gray coverage there is in the hair. We've broken it into 4 categories: 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, and 75 to 100% gray. When analyzing the hair and identifying that there's 25% gray in your guest's hair, always ensure that you have a quarter of your formulation as gray coverage. What we mean by that is percentage gray equals percentage base. If your guest is 50% gray, ensure that there is half base, half reflect in the mix. Now the base depends on what the color is. We have 2 options to use as bases. We have our naturals, which is the 0.0. These will offer us more of neutral to cool results, and we have the WNs that will also offer 100% gray coverage, but these will offer a warmer result or help support a warm reflect. With the world of gray coverage, it's always important to remember that percentage gray equals percentage base. As discussed, your percentage gray equals your percentage base in your mix, and that's either your natural or your warm natural, depending on the result that you're looking to achieve. The second thing that is an important tip and trick when it comes to the world of gray coverage is always to ensure that we don't overpack color on the hair. I know traditionally we've always been taught that we need to overload color onto especially resistant gray hair. However, because as a company we don't have the harsh ingredients in our color formulations, it's super important for us to remember that we need to make sure our formulations are correct and then let the color do what it needs to do. I typically start in the front, work my way back, and then once I've got to the back, work your way forward again, cross-checking and ensuring that we push that color deep into the hair, and then let process for a full 45 minutes. The last thing that we need to always bear in mind is, because we're a clean color formulation, that any product buildup, styling products, or especially those sprays that are utilized frequently now to cover or mask the regrowth, may form a barrier. So it's advisable that the cleaner the hair, the better the result. If you do a consultation and you feel your client has a lot of buildup in her hair and she's looking for incredible gray coverage, always ensure that you clean the base first. The other thing you're going to find is, when it comes to the world of gray coverage, once you've applied the color through to the hair and let it process for a full 45 minutes, don't be alarmed at the depth that you see on there. It is the saturation that we get out of our color range, ensuring that we give you 100% gray coverage. Should your client have super resistant hair, please don't change your mixing ratio. Always make sure that your color is mixed in a ratio of 1 to 1.5, and if your client does have seriously resistant hair, what you want to do is drop your base down. What I mean by that is, if your target level is a 613 and she's 50% gray, from what we've learned, you would go half 60 and half 613. Being super resistant, drop your base from a 6.0 to a 5.0. What that'll enable us to do is give us half an extra level of depth, and what that'll do is ensure that we get 100% gray coverage on that resistant gray hair, but it'll still look like a level 6 result. So those are some extra little tips and tricks for you to ensure that you get the most incredible gray coverage out of our CØR.color range. To ensure that you get the most out of our O&M core color range, for me there are 3 key important tips and tricks to always remember. The first, and it sounds a little strange, but always remember to shake your activators really, really well. The reason behind this is what it'll do is reblend that signature oil blend, being your certified organic macadamia oil and your certified organic coconut oil. It'll reblend those oils together, and it'll also soften the coconut oil, giving us a beautiful, rich consistency to utilize. The second trick for us when it comes to getting the most out of the range is before toning, always ensure that you shampoo and condition the hair. Now, a lot of times clients will say to us, condition before tone. For us, remember, O&M core color is a hybrid color. And what that means for us is our alkaline agent is contained within the tube. So when we condition before toning, it's going to do a couple of things for us. It'll detangle the hair, so it gives us a much easier canvas to work on to make sure we get the product distributed evenly through the client's hair. But more importantly, it's going to stop the activator from shifting the natural base or lifting the natural color. The conditioner that we always recommend to use for this would be your Fine Intellect conditioner. The reason for this is it contains keratin, and what that'll do is fill in any potholes contained in that hair, creating an even canvas for an uptake of color. Results are absolutely phenomenal in terms of doing this step before toning. The other tip and trick when it comes to toning is ask yourself the question, is there virgin hair in the mix? If the answer is yes, always ensure that you use 1%. If there is no virgin hair in the mix, feel free to use your 1.5% because this will give you something a little stronger and a little more saturated, especially when refreshing mids to ends that have existing color on them. The third tip and trick that we have when it comes to using O&M core color is the world of gray coverage. As we've previously discussed, gray coverage for us is one of those services in salon that is our bread and butter. It's your client that is there frequently and generally wants the same result. What we always do to ensure that we get the perfect gray coverage is ensure that our formulation is 100% correct. We want to make sure that our percentage gray equals our percentage base in the mix. And the base options are your 0.0, your naturals, which are blue to violet for your neutral or cool results, or your WNs, which are your warm naturals that'll give you 100% coverage with a warmer reflect. Make sure the percentage gray equals percentage base. You want to make sure that your client's hair is clean before you start, because remember, we have 0 harsh chemicals in our color, and being a clean, kind color, any product buildup that is on that client's hair may interfere with the color result. Generally start in the front where your client visually sees their gray more so. Work your way back. Once finished, come back to the front in terms of a cross check and push that color in. Another tip and trick for your clients that are super resistant is drop your base down. Instead of changing your mixing ratio, always make sure you mix in a 1 to 1.5 using 20 volume for your gray coverage, and just drop your base down either a half or a full level if you're trying to achieve full coverage on resistant gray. Last thing it is when it comes to the world of gray coverage is don't overpack the color on the hair. Traditionally, we've always been taught that where your client's hair is super resistant, overload color on there. Typically, a lot of color in the industry is loaded with harsh chemicals, and by overloading the color onto your client's hair will blow the cuticle out. In the world of O&M, we don't have those harsh chemicals. For us, it's about a clean, kind alternative. So what we need to do is strip that color back, ensure your formulation is correct, apply it as you would any normal color, and let it process for your full 45 minutes to achieve the result you're looking for. We now have a look at the O&M blonding portfolio. In the blonding portfolio, we have numerous options. We actually have 4 lighteners in total that provide the most incredible lift while maintaining condition of the hair. The O&M lighteners, the traditional lighteners that are found in our tubs, are known as our keratin lighteners. Keratin because they contain keratin in them, and what that does for us is actually repairs the hair during the lightening process. What you'll find is we have 3 options here. We have a pink label, which is the keratin lightener. We have a white label, which is keratin white, and a blue, which is keratin blue. The difference between your keratin white and your keratin blue is basically the color of the powder. The keratin white and the keratin blue are our 2 ammonia-free options. These are typically utilized on lighter shade hair with less color correction involved. The pink label, or the keratin lightener, contains a very mild amount of ammonium persulfate and just gives us the ability to have a little bit more guts in the powder lightener, so typically used on darker natural bases or where we are working against artificial color. So where we have color corrective alternatives and are looking for the maximum amount of lift, we will use the keratin pink. The mixing ratio of all of our powder lighteners is a 1:2 mixing ratio, and what we recommend is anything on scalp to only utilize a 10 and a 20 volume, where off scalp you can use whatever activator you see fit for the job at hand. All three of the lighteners will give you up to 7 levels of lift when mixed in a 1:2 mixing ratio. Some of the key things that you'll notice when you are utilizing the powder lighteners is that they sometimes feel like they go a little stiff. It is super important that when utilizing your powder lighteners, always remember to shake your activators. Remember a little earlier on we went through our activators and I identified that there is our signature oil blend in the activators. Part of that signature oil blend is coconut oil, which is certified and organic. And we all know coconut oil tends to get a little solid when it gets cool. So by shaking it, you will do a couple of things. You will reblend those oils together, but you will also soften the coconut oil in our activators, creating more of a creamy consistency, enabling us to have a much softer, more workable powder lightener. The fourth powder lightener that we have in our portfolio is known as our paint powder. Paint powder is our clay-based lightener that contains a beautiful mixture of ingredients. You've got kaolin clay, you've got eyelite, you've got rice flour, and you have aloe vera in the powder. The paint powder is beautiful for your open air creative techniques where we paint the lightener where you want it, and there is no need for us to place that into either a foil or saran wrap or glad wrap in between. The powder itself is designed to form a crust on the outside, keeping the product active on the inside while preventing it from transferring to other hair that it touches. So if I put them into classifications, your paint powder would be your champion of creativity and your champion of lift would be your traditional keratin lighteners. With your paint powder, what you're going to find is the recommended mixing ratio for paint powder is a 1 to 1.5 mixing ratio. You do have the ability here to tweak your mixing ratio with your paint powder to custom blend it in terms of the consistency that you like to work with. You can mix it from a 1:1 right up to 1:2. Personally, I love the 1:2 mixing ratio because for me, that gives me a really workable product while still doing what it needs to do, and that's forming the crust on the outside, giving us the ability to create the lift that we're looking for without transferring onto any other hair. From a timing perspective, with your paint powder, what you want to find is with paint powder, you want to process it on the hair for up to 55 minutes and let that process until we've reached the desired lift. Most color lines out there at the moment have an additive that go in to protect the hair from damage during the coloring process. At O&M, we're very fortunate to have our Core Restore, and Core Restore for us is beautiful because it has been specifically designed to work with O&M color. What this means for us is we do not need to increase the strength of our activator that we choose to use, and more importantly, we don't need to add on any more timing to our process. Part 1 has a pH of 4.5, so nice and acidic, and is a blend of amino acids that help protect and repair any of those broken disulfide bonds that are present in the hair, either before or during the coloring process. They will help relink these internal disulfide bonds, bringing back the strength in the hair during that coloring process. Part 1 is added into your color or powder lightener, and depending on what it is we are adding it to will depend on how much we choose to add. When adding it into color, remember it is 1 ml per 10 grams of raw tint. So example, if you're mixing 10 grams of color, you will mix in 1 ml of part 1. If you're doing 30 grams of color, it's 3 ml of part 1. Be mindful of this mixing ratio because if you exceed that 1:10 mixing ratio, especially with your color, you will notice that your process takes a little longer and you may need to use a stronger activator. To prevent that from happening, stick to a 1:10 with your color, and when we utilize it with powder lightener, it is a 2:10. So if you're using 20 grams of powder lightener, you'll add in 4 ml of part 1. Always remember to mix your powder lightener or your color first, then add in step 1, mix again, and then apply to the hair and process. Once you've taken your client through to the basin area, you will rinse your color or your lightener from your guest's hair, and this is where we apply part 2, the CØR Restore Balm. The CØR Restore Balm part 2 has a pH of 3.5, and what it does is drives part 1 deep into the cortex of the hair fiber, repairing and locking in step 1. This is why we don't have a step 3. The great thing with this is it'll process at the basin for 10 to 15 minutes and then is shampooed to remove and conditioned afterwards. The great thing with your CØR Restore, you can utilize this as a standalone option. For a standalone option, what we do is we mix part 1 and part 2 together. This is done in a 1:4 mixing ratio and applied in place of a conditioner. So you will go in and detox the hair first to give it a beautiful cleanse. Fluffy towel dry, apply your pre-mixed part 1 and part 2, remember in a 1:4 mixing ratio. Apply this to the hair and process for 20 minutes. After your processing time, you can rinse that off the hair and apply a moisture mask, because remember, CØR Restore is a beautiful blend of amino acids, and what those amino acids will do is will strengthen and repair the hair. So by applying a soft moisture mask afterwards, it's going to enable us to give that hair a beautiful, soft, moldable feel and make it feel like luxurious hair again. Always remember, even when using CØR Restore as an additive in a color or a lightening service, to always finish off with a moisture mask. And our recommendation from the O&M range is your 7-Day Miracle, a beautiful moisturizing mask to give you that soft feel in the hair. From here, what you'll find is we enter the world of color correction. Now, to learn a little bit more about the world of color correction, sign up to our Clean Color Academy, and we take you through everything that the world of color correction does for us in terms of creating concerns, and break it down into the simplest alternative in terms of addressing how to deal with every single color correction problem we have. Log into your Clean Color Academy. The first month is free, and this will give you the opportunity to explore a little deeper as to how to get the most out of our core color range. Always remember at O&M, even though we are a clean, kind color, sensitivity testing for us is always important. There is a huge trend out there at the moment that clients are becoming more and more susceptible to sensitivities or irritations. The fact that we've removed the harsh ingredients definitely minimizes the risk, but from a protection perspective, to make it comfortable for your client and also for you, it is always recommended that before you proceed with any color result that you do a patch test. Now, from O&M's perspective, the way we recommend doing a patch test is to apply your color directly to the skin, either in the arm or behind the ear, and let that sit on the skin for up to 48 hours. If after this time there is any redness, irritation, or itching, do not proceed with the service. If there is no sensitivity, irritation, or redness, feel free to proceed with the service. But this for us is always just a step to ensure that you and your client experience the best that O&M Core Color has to offer. All of this information that we've just been through now will definitely enable you to get the most out of our Core Color range. For further tips and tricks, go through on Facebook to O&M CØR.color Facebook group. This is a closed group of hairdressers around the world that share their successes, tips, and tricks with our beautiful community. You can go on there, log in, search all of everything that we have on that page. And the great thing is as well is in your little search engine up on the top of the page, you can add in any color that you would like to see what it looks like. And what you'll find is the minute that you go in and you add in 10.03, for example, into your search engine, what you'll find is every single color formula on the Facebook group that contains 10.03 in its formula will come up for you. This is an incredible tool to not only help you with color formulations, but also for you to see what color can do when mixed with other things. Sometimes for us, we rely on other people to be super creative, and for you as a colorist, this is the perfect tool to investigate what certain color combinations will do, and also give us the ability to create that visual in terms of what a typical rose gold color may look like. Every single one of us has a slightly different perception. The core color group, because it has that many color combinations on it, will give us the ability to tweak that rose gold to wherever it is that we need to take it for our client's benefit. So sign up to the O&M CØR.color group and investigate a little further. And thank you for watching, and hope this takes you through everything you had and answers all the questions. Good luck and enjoy the range.